But if we look at the picture, okay, let's just, oops, there's a couple of other documents. The way it's structured here now is that you've got the assessment documents, but then you have the requirements documents, you have the template, you have various documents you have to use just like in real life. Okay, I'm sure, Reza, you agree that not everything is in one document when you are working, right? You have to find this and find that everywhere. All right, so if we look at this, this is a fictitious company, obviously. It's a fictitious company. You might remember it from your Cert 4 if you've done it. Erfy's Confectionery. This is a family business, and their company is to make lollies. Okay, so let's just go through it now today. So this is a request for tender. So if you've never heard of this term, this is basically tendering for any company who's willing to do this project, and you will make a quotation for this project, and you would then present it, and if you're approved, then you get the contract. Okay, I'm sure, Reza, you've been doing similar things in your work already, so you would probably know more than anyone what it's like to work on a project. So table contents, you got an invitation to tender. The company background is this is a family business. They started from very small business. Now they're getting bigger and bigger. The scenario is, so for those of you who didn't do Cert 4, in Cert 4 we started off with a very small company. Which had a peer-to-peer network. Then we introduced Active Directory and servers into this network, and they built that up. They created user accounts, they created group accounts, they created WSUS server, file server, DHCP server, all the services you need for a typical LAN. Then in the second subject, we then connected the two sites together with VPN. And we also set up a secure web presence, which is a place where the clients can visit and get their products and make purchases. Okay, and we also had intranet for them as well, and we had DFS and replication across the sites and stuff like that. So that was the second project. So if you think about it, it's a ongoing relationship with this company. You're from IT Works, and this company has been coming to you to build their network, extend their network, and now they want to incorporate. So you are a consultant for IT Works, and IT Works has been engaged to investigate the feasibility of introducing virtualization into the Erfy's Confectionery. Erfy's Confectionery have been concerned with the environmental impacts of its business. So what does that mean? That means basically their business, like anything, is consuming too much energy, wasting too much stuff. And obviously the climate is that everyone wants to be more carbon neutral, more environmentally friendly, and then they can actually just get good reputation and also do business in certain areas. Okay, so if you look at this, Evan Zerfel, the CEO of Erfy's Confectionery, has been directed by the self-regulated Food for Sustainable Future group. So this is obviously fictitious. All this is fictitious. Don't try to go, what is the Food for Sustainable Future group? It's all fictitious, but it could be true in sometimes. Okay, so to investigate reducing the carbon footprint of the company by meeting this regulation, Erfy's Confectionery will receive a Green Star certification or certificate, which is like some industry certification that allows you to. It's just like if you make food and you get the halal certification, for example. And that means you can sell food marked as that in a specific market, right? You can export to countries which require that. Okay, so same thing, but this is to do with the green carbon footprint type situation. Possessing the Green Star certification will mean greater access to European and US markets. Okay, so basically they want you to have it, so they will endorse you, promote you if you have that. Besides this certification, Evan Zerfel has also heard many practical and financial benefits of virtualization. I'm sure you can think of a few reasons why it will save you money, and also be improvement on physical servers. He is, however, very concerned about the impact on the current operations of his business. So he's concerned, we've got physical servers right now. That's what you have to think about, okay? How can we migrate to the virtualization without big disruption? All right, so we have been asked to develop a proof of concept demonstration. So that's what you're going to do here. You're not creating a brand new network for them to use straight away. You're doing a network, which is a mock-up. So as part of this proof of concept phase, a mock-up of the potential virtualization environment, a bit like what we're doing with the build of the labs. We're going to build something like that to show them how it all works. That's the point of it, okay? Will be built. It is hoped that with this proof of concept mock-up, the leadership team will be convinced of the benefits of introducing virtualization. Okay, so you use it to demonstrate the things. And this will be used, this build will be used to demonstrate the benefits of virtualization, including but not limited to migration, shared storage, and virtual networking. So this is, if you look at it, I like to have graphical representation. But if you look at this, okay, so there's a couple of discrepancies. So instead of OpenFiler, we've got the TrueNAS.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first thing I point out. That does the same job, just different service, different operating system, different version. Okay, so but basically they're both open source Linux-based sort of file shared storage, and they're both providing the iSCSI targets like we did in our labs. Okay, so the only difference, I haven't updated this picture, but I should, I guess, is that this should say what's it? TrueNAS. Okay, TrueNAS 1. So that's the only difference that I can point out right now. But if you look at this, there is a production network, there is a storage network, and there's going to be a migration network. So you need 3 different virtual networks. You will have ESXi 1 and 2, just like what you got in your labs. You're going to have a domain controller, and you're going to have a vCenter. This vCenter, obviously, in our labs is a virtual machine that's running on ESX on VMware Workstation, right? So same thing, same idea, okay? So I think right now, all of you guys could build this. Just the stuff that's there, what you see here, okay? Even if you do no configuration for anything else, you can build all the virtual networks, all the services that allows us to store our virtual machines on the TrueNAS server. Okay, what we've covered, what you've done in the labs will give you that. But obviously in the labs, we have a different domain. What you have to use is unique to you. Okay, hopefully everyone here has a different surname. Okay, so I don't think anyone's going to have a duplicate domain or anything like that. So this is yourlastname.com is the domain name, and this is the IP addressing scheme we're going to use. So we're going to so we don't have a, so that's Elizabeth site in the future, but we don't have the Elizabeth site in this mock-up network, okay? But so really it's the Adelaide site that we're interested in. We've got the production. This is the network. So we'll understand this is a network ID, right? But this YY is a unique variable. It says your lecturer will provide this. What I'm going to tell you now is your day of birth. So if you're born on the 23rd, this will be 2-3. Okay, get me? So Alexi, what day? What's your date of birth?
29.
So yours will be 29, and Roman back there.
22.
So you guys are all in the 20s, aren't you? What are you, Reza?
31st.
31st. You okay? What are you?
I'm 22.
You're 22 as well.
Okay, they don't have same network.
What's your number again?
22.
Oh, you two have a bit of a problem, so I'll make it so that you can use the month. What's your month?
August.
August 8th. So you use 8, okay?
Yeah.
So it's lucky for you. All right. So every time you see the YY, you use your number that we just determined, and each of you now should have a different number. Okay. So we'll start with day, but if it because Roman and Son has the same day, Son will use month. And then you see that there's a different network for production, for storage, and for migration. And there's also a private network that facilitates the, so if you want to think about this, if you read this carefully, that facilitates the communication between the web server and the database server within the hypervisor. So this is a special network. So this is not a physical network, is it? This is a internal network that's only in the virtual, okay? And this is to allow for the communication between the virtual machine, which is a web server, and another virtual machine, which is a database server. So no one else should be able to go on this network. So it only exists in the virtual space. You get that, guys? All right. So VMs, you need a domain controller. And like I said, this is not OpenFiler. This is TrueNAS. That's what we're using in labs. So just change the name here to reflect, but the IP address should be the same. And the OS is it's still Linux, but it's TrueNAS. And then we're going to have these settings. The ESXi2 even tells you need NIC 1, 2, 3.
Hey, it's a cheat sheet now.
So this is like the network designer has designed this. You are implementing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is just for this. This is not necessarily the best setup ever. Like when we discuss networking, we discuss how we need redundancy, we need speed, we need this and that. So this is not the best design, but this is a design for this purpose that you have to implement. So in this sense, we're not assessing your design or understanding of the virtual networking. We're assessing your implementation.
Right.
If you look at the second assignment, that's where you have to decide how many networks and stuff like that you have to have, okay? So we've got that, 4 gigs of RAM, but you can adjust that to suit your system, okay? At least 4 gigs. vCenter, so 2 gigs of RAM, but again, you can reduce that down. So I'm not so worried about how much RAM and stuff you give to each one. I'm not going to go check to that level. More so that you have a functional vCenter, and your systems all work together, okay? The web server VM, that's obviously inside your ESXi virtualization. Okay, do you get that? This is a VM to be created later. So this is actually going to be sitting on your vSphere. Same with this one. So, and this is the two example. You don't have to configure them as a, do we? I'm not so much worried about that. So let's say, have a look, the Active Directory is this, and this is what you've got in the other places, but this is obviously, if we're talking about your specifically the Adelaide site, that's the read-write domain controller, but at Elizabeth, they have a read-only domain controller. So this is giving you the background to the scenario. This is all the departments. These are the users, okay, and the areas they work on. This is the, so this is we're going to be using the Golden Master technique. Roman and Son, you would remember the Golden Master technique, right? So that's basically where we create a undifferentiated virtual machine as a template in VMware Workstation, and we then use that to create link clones for any Windows OS. So, for example, you've got your domain controller. You don't actually for this particular one, you don't need to use it that much because it's really just the domain controller that uses it. User rights. This is important. This is going to come up later on. And then we've got testing requirements and the virtual machine templates you must create inside of the vSphere, and then obviously the virtual machines that you need to create and the roles they have. And then these are the virtual machines. This whole document's for multiple assignments, okay? So some of this would not be applicable to the first one. So I wouldn't worry about that right now. So, but basically, if we look at the assignment, it will tell you when to go to refer to the requirements, okay? So that request for tender is for 2 assignments. It's got information for 2 assignments, okay? Some of those information is not applicable to this one. So when it says go look at the requirements and look at the familiarize yourself with this, obtain the virtual vSphere installation components. So basically, how you would download it from VMware, but obviously we gave you a copy from our NAS. Okay, so use that one, use the same version. So again, wherever you see OpenFiler, you substitute with TrueNAS. Again, we've given you a copy on the L drive, right? So it's almost like you're getting it, but you can get it from our local source if you want. Installation and configure the servers with the naming and IP requirements like we just said. So you can see how we go to the organizational requirements to the server configuration section. So if we go to the organizational requirements and we go to the server configuration section, you can see it gives you all the settings, right? So that's what I'm saying. When it says go somewhere and use that information, that's where you use that specific part of the information. Configure all servers, so this XX is your initials, by the way. I think it says somewhere before. So for me, it will be AZ, whatever, ADLRWDC. And as a DNS server as well, create all the accounts. So this is obviously we need the users' accounts for later, but when we're assigning permissions, so you need to make sure you create all the accounts, and if all Windows servers must be in the domain. So you will see that there's not many in this particular example, and this is where you get me to check it. Okay, I think you can do this section already, definitely. Task 2, configure integrate vCenter. So join the so as an identity provider. So we haven't done that, but that's something we're going to do today. We're going to make AD an identity provider for the giving permissions for the vCenter. Create a data center name Erfy's DC and add both this one to that. No problems. We've done that before, haven't we? Get me to check it. You see, it's always getting you to check along the way. All right, configure virtual networking. Configure these things. The other week we talked about networking, so you definitely can do that. And we sort of we've talked about VM kernel groups, but we haven't really talked about vMotion just yet. So maybe you can create this definitely, but you may not know this one part. Yeah, the standard switch, configure a distributed switch. I think we spoke about that as well. And install and configure the storage, which is the TrueNAS. And we've done that already. Test the local data store by uploading the Windows ISO to the local data store. Okay, according to the technical testing technical specifications. So if we go right here, and here it is, testing. So all storage must be functional. So if you can upload the files, it's functional. File operations are functional. So you can create folders. You can delete, move files. That means capacity must meet the technical requirements provided. Cool. Sorry, I accidentally closed it. All right, so if we keep on looking at this, that's the storage and configuring the storage. Yeah, connect iSCSI targets. We've done that. Shared storage, data stores. So test the data store, the new data store, and then we're going to create a template inside of vSphere, and we haven't done that yet, by the way. Okay, so this is something you can't do just yet. Create user and roles after today's lesson. You should be able to do this. And we haven't done this yet, so there's some things we still to come, and we haven't done this yet. But this is tasks. Yeah, this is so basically. I think what you can do is all the way up to. After today, all the way up to task 6. Okay, so after today's lesson, you should be able to do that. When we cover the next few topics, you just keep on adding to it. Questions, Alexi? No, all makes sense? Okay. Yeah, no worries. Anyone else have questions? All makes sense? Sort of.
Do we have any checklist for you to check?
Yeah, absolutely. So the checklist is right somewhere. Where is it? I thought I put it there. Oh, okay. So I must not put it there. I will. It will be similar to the ones we use for that. I'll just show you example.
You can just show Alex every part.
Yeah. Oh, if that I will mark it, and I will tick it off. But I'll show you example of the checklist type of checklist I use. So someone would be familiar with other subjects we've done, but you guys, Reza and Alexi, may not be.
We will refer to the checklist.
Yeah. So I'll create that. So because basically it'll look like something like this. So where like instead of these things I'm checking for, it'll be things specifically for what you asked to do, and it's a matter of me going yes or no, and then when I click yes, you've got a percentage of how much you've completed. Okay, so it'll look something like that. But I thought I'd put it on there, but obviously I haven't needed it yet. So it's not there. I'm surprised actually. Yeah, I'm surprised it's not there. I thought no, yeah, you're right. But basically, the checklist is essentially going to be things that I'm going to do to check these things. Okay, so you go by this, you don't go by the checklist.
No.
Okay, so even if I miss something in the checklist, doesn't mean you don't have to do it. Because if I miss something, I'll add it to it later. All right, so this is the assignment. That's what we're working on. All right, so hopefully you understand what the first assignment is. We haven't even looked at the second assignment at all, but the second one is all about sorry, where is it? Second one is all about planning. So let's say the first one, you build this proof of concept, you show your clients how it works, and they're happy with it. They want you to go do a plan for them. This is where now, if we look at the task, we need to assess the current network and servers. So see what networks they got, what servers they got, what hardware they've got, what can we still use, what do we need to get new. It's a bit like if you go and build a house or renovate someone's house, you look at what they've got. We can keep that wall, but we need to build a new cupboard, and we need to build a new toilet, whatever. And we need to analyze business requirements. We're going to assess the different virtualization options. So this is the second assignment, so it'll come later next term. But next term, we're also going to look at Hyper-V. So you're going to have a bit of a taste for Hyper-V and the vSphere. But we're also going to try to assess the leading virtualization software options, which is Hyper-V and vSphere really, and basically choose one. When you compare side by side for this company, for this scenario, which one is better? It's not for you personally. It's not for the big data centers that we've got in Melbourne for Telstra or something like that. It's for specifically this company called Erfy's Confectionery. So it's very customized. Okay. Then we plan and propose a new virtualization infrastructure. So we decide which one we're going to go for, the reasons why. Okay, so I can give you some good reasons already. Like, with the vSphere, we pay for vSphere. We pay for the licensing. Then every virtual machine we create, that's a Microsoft, for example, we still go buy Microsoft licensing for that operating system. If you get Hyper-V, for example, as a difference, you first of all, you don't need a vCenter, okay? And you still have those those live migration, which is vMotion and those kind of things already there. But with each Hyper-V, even if it's just a standard Windows 2002 standard, you get 2 licenses for free as virtual machines. If you buy the data center version of Windows Server 2022, which then you make into Hyper-V, then you can have unlimited number of virtualized servers included in the license. So I'm not trying.
Is Hyper-V.
Yeah, that's Hyper-V. So I'm not trying to steer you in any direction, but I can see that that's one big advantage, isn't it? So let's say I have to have 10 virtual machines in my virtualization environment. if I have vSphere, I would have to pay 10 times license fee. If I have just Hyper-V standard and I buy, let's see, free service for Hyper-V, that's already 6 of them that I don't have to pay for, right? So but like you got to think about it. Like for anything, anyone, I'm sure you're the same. First of all, is it gonna do what I want it to do? Okay, that's the number one concern. Is it gonna give me what I want it to give me? The second concern is how much is it gonna cost, isn't it? If this option costs, like if you think of a car, you're not sure whether you want to buy the Hyundai or the, what's another one? Mitsubishi. They both got SUV. Well, first of all, can they go off-road? Yes. Yes. Can they carry 4 passengers? Yes. Yes. So they're all equal. The next thing is Hyundai costs, let's say, 70,000. Mitsubishi costs 60,000. But they both can do what you want them to do. Which one do you choose? Okay. I know you probably Reza would choose. Oh, I don't care about those two. I'll get Mercedes, right? So because he wants the brand. But in the Hyper-V and virtualization, it's not about the brand. It's what they can do, isn't it? That's at the end of the day. If you just buy a Mercedes but you can't go off road, even though all these cheap cars like the Mitsubishi and the Hyundai can go off road and you can't, then your friends are going to laugh at you anyway, aren't they? So it's not about what brand it is. You should disassociate yourself because you're not buying for yourself. You're choosing for this company. So it's professional analysis. It's not, oh, I like Microsoft or I hate Microsoft. I'm a Linux person, so I'll choose an all Linux solution. But these guys don't even know anything about Linux. But I still give them a Linux solution because that's because I hate Microsoft, right? You can't do that. Okay, it's not your personal opinion. It's what's best for the customer. Okay. So then we analyze the cost against your budget, develop a deployment plan, and research and report on the sustainability, and then present the solution to your stakeholder. And when you do this particular assignment, I like to flip this. Okay, so there's no point you going through all of this, then show me, and then I say I don't like it, right? So I like to flip this. Before you get into all of this, you got to give me a rough idea of what you want to do. I'm going to then ask you questions. What about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And then if you can cover all of that, no, very good. We can go ahead. But if you don't have this, or that, then I'm going to say, well, can you add it to it? And then you change your plan, you update your plan, and then once we're both happy, then you go through and do all of this stuff. You get me, guys? So the first thing I like to do with this one is just come up with a diagram. Your storage, your network, your amount of hosts, and the servers you're going to have. Okay, just give me a diagram so you can explain it to me, and I'll point out things that I think is missing, or point out things where I'm going to ask you, how's this going to work? How's that going to work? Okay, and if you can satisfy all those requirements, no problems. Go ahead with the rest of them. So that way we'll shortcut a lot of work, unnecessary work, if you know what I mean. If you went through all this process and then realize, oh, I didn't have enough hosts, or I didn't have enough networks, or didn't have enough network cards, etc., then you had to go back again and do it all. I mean, so that's why I like to flip it around. You come up with what you think is the ideal solution. You show me, just casual chat. You can explain how things work and where things are going to be stored, how the network's going to be connected, how many hosts, how we're going to provide redundancy and this and that. And then if I'm happy, then we'll go do the rest. Okay, you see what I'm getting at? All right, so that way we'll waste less time for you, and it'll mean when I go to market at the end of the day, you're going to have a better thing for me to mark.